becomes hard for those artists. They can kind of get visibility for the work itself, but they can't really sell it. And it's a challenge because you have to have specific kinds of spaces to show it. That's part of the reason we do the off-site exhibitions, because our artists that we work with who do the big, hairy, enormous installation work, we show that off-site in a place that's like as big as an airplane hangar. And then they make pieces that are 60 feet long, and they're awesome, but I never sell those. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's tougher for them to fund their work. But I will say that it's tough for everyone, because while a photographer can show their work more easily if they show their work hanging on the wall, it costs them $10,000 to frame a show. An installation artist has no framing costs, right? I mean, they bring it, this is held on the wall by magnets. If you make wood, installation work out of wood, trees, pieces of branches, you know, you didn't have to buy those, you still have to get it all there. But so I think all the mediums have challenges, but installation is kind of, I think, one of the harder ones to work with. I think it's easier to promote, but it's harder to work with. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like I said.
Hi. You stated earlier that the main type of fund to your organization is through charity work and grants and sort of. How do you allocate these into your budget, and how do you do expense to your programs?
Well, each grant has very specific guidelines of exactly how you can spend your money. So when you apply to them for the money, you give them a budget of exactly how you're going to spend it, and exactly who it's going to go to, and how, and when. So when they approve your project and they approve to give you the money, you then have to exactly divvy out the money the way you said you were going to, and you do a very detailed financial report afterwards to show them that you actually did that. So there's no gray area with grant money. But that's the nice thing with doing benefits, where you just have cash that comes in through a benefit, or an individual donation. It's not designated. That stuff, you have the ability to move around in your budget to pay for general operating expenses, salaries, etc. So grants are very tight in that way. Some more than others. Government grants are extremely tight in terms of how you can allocate the money. But that's the difficulty. That's why having the individual donations and fund money you do through events or fundraising events, you have to have that to pay salaries and to pay the electric bill, because no one wants to pay those things in grants. Grants all want to pay for a cool project, but not to pay anyone to carry out that project, or to pay the rent on the space that the project happens in. So it's really hard. It's really hard. So that's why you see nonprofits creating programs to get money, but then you've expanded how much you have to do. At the same time, you're not really funding. That's been our thing, is we want to fund what we're already doing, not create new programs to get funding all the time. And no one really wants to fund the thing you're already doing. They want to fund something new, fancy and sexy, you know what I mean? So, just like life, right?
So I know that your organization is primarily planted in Philadelphia, but kind of in the years to come, do you plan on expanding outside of Philadelphia, maybe even outside the state, for further, connecting with other programs, or just even spreading the word?
We would love to. I mean, honestly, I think we see ourselves as Philly-based right now, but if we could communicate our programs and our artists, our lecture series, our artist talks, nationally and internationally, we'd like to do that. I mean, that's part of our mission, is exposing these artists' work so their careers build, and gaining visibility for our organization at the same time, gaining support. So I think we felt like digital means the way to do that. We do exhibitions in other regions. We do exchange exhibitions through the Career Development Program. We did one with a group in Ireland. We just showed their work. We're going to show in Dublin this summer. So we do things like that, but again, that's limited to the number of people who see the show and see your PR and that kind of thing. So we would love to. I mean, that's clearly the goal.
I was just wondering, what is like the culture in the office? Do you work like close with the board and CEO? What kind of interactions do they have with the artists? Like, just a little bit about the culture of like working here.
Yeah. Well, essentially there's just in terms of the staffing, there's an executive director, who's the boss, and then there's a director of development who basically their job is to do most of the fundraising, grant development, etc. But the ED, the executive director, really is the main fundraiser, even though it's director of development. We have a part-time grant writer. We have a part-time administrative coordinator who's essentially runs the office, does administrative work. We have 3 full-time programming staff, so myself, my colleague who runs the Regional Community Arts Program, and my colleague who runs Philadelphia and Studio Tours. I have a very part-time curatorial assistant who is 1 day a week, and then we have a minion of unpaid interns who get credit for school for doing that. Many who stay on after, lots of people who aren't doing it for credit. People just want experience working in an organization like this or in a gallery setting or around art and artists. So, and like I said, we have them do a lot of work, real work. No one's getting coffee, you know what I'm saying? Because we really need to work. So that's kind of the staffing structure. And basically I would say that the executive director or CEO, director of development, and the administrative coordinator share this office. They work most closely together. The programming staff, we share that other office. We are really tight and work very closely together. So there's not as much back and forth. I mean, the physical offices are part of it, but it's also the way, the style of leadership that makes it that way too. So there's a lot with it. Is there one more question from your group? I'm sorry.
Yeah, going back to the interns,
Mhm.
do you have them doing like specific things like set like each have a task or like going around and handing out like pamphlets?
Yeah, what we do is, you know, it's part of the same with your question, is each of us takes on, when we take on interns, they report to one of us directly. So if I have an intern, then they report to me directly, I give them tasks directly, related to what I need to do in my program. So usually the people who work with me want to work with gallery work, because I put on most of our exhibitions. Or they want to work with artists through the fellowship program, they want to work with the advisor. So that kind of interested student comes to me, or intern comes to me. Someone who's interested in doing the outreach, wants to run around, deliver stuff, works with open studios. Someone who wants the community base works with community base. Someone who wants development experience, fundraising, works with them. So they report to one of us. We generally give tasks, but then when it's like crazy, oh my God, time, it's just all hands on deck for whatever we're doing. When we have our annual benefit, which is our annual fundraiser, that's just everybody, board,
Time.
everybody working together. So just quickly to your point about the board. So the board mostly interacts with the executive director. The programming staff interacts with the board to sort of sell them on our programs and what we do and keep them excited about what we're doing, because we do the fun stuff that everybody's interested in. But primarily our board is really, it's an executive level on board interaction. There's not as much interaction with the staff, other than when they come to events. When they come to the exhibitions, of course, we interact with them. But we're not sitting in on board meetings on that. And that's not the same at every organization. I know other organizations where the staff sits in on every board meeting.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, as a slight adjustment, let's assume it's 4 questions per group, so each person gets an opportunity, and still try to hold the 8 minutes.
But there's 5.
Yeah.
You can start.
Okay.
There you go, start. You can start.
As far as the membership section, are you going to create an e-commerce site for like the members part and then also for the services, so it's, you know, like regulated?
That would be awesome. Please do that. Yes, I mean, I don't, right now, we don't have that set up.
I mean, like in the future, because you're talking about that
Yeah.
you're going to do this in the future.
Well, but we have, like I said, we even talked about having people be able to just pay online and do that. Oh my God. Everything's done in like direct, like, or like, slow way.
Yeah, I saw your website with
Going through PayPal, like no one does, you know, no one does that. But like our lectures, if you could pay for your lecture online instead of like calling Genevieve and giving her your credit card number or writing a check when you physically come here, that would be amazing. Yeah, that would be really good. For all of our application processes, those are now all totally web-based though. It's not hosted on our website. We use an off-site web vendor called SlideRoom, slideroom.com. So that processes all payments, the artist,